Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular councillor meeting. And certainly want to welcome our residents viewing online. So I will now call the meeting to order. The agenda is there before you. Can I have a motion to approve, please? Moved by Councillor Bruce King, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion? All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Okay, so the first order of business at our meeting tonight, we're going to do a check presentation from the recent Rib Fest that was held last month. And I will say that the Rib Fest, that was a first for our town, and quite obvious it was a tremendous success, and hopefully this will become an annual event. So before we get to the check presentation, we have a couple of guests joining us this evening. Mr. Barry Fowler, and Barry is the interim Vice President of Atlantic Canada Make-A-Wish Foundation. Good evening, Barry. Thanks for joining us. And we also have Amy Rumbold and her son Logan. And Logan is a wish recipient and lives here in Holyrood. So just to give you a little background on Logan, Logan lives with severe cerebral palsy, and getting around outside in his wheelchair can be challenging. That's why Logan wished for a Josie stroller, so he could spend even more time outside with his family, participating in all of the activities they love doing together. Make-A-Wish Newfoundland partnered with Lawton's to deliver Logan his new Josie, am I saying that right? Okay, Josie stroller in May of 2022, complete with ski attachments and all-terrain wheels. Now Logan can spend more time in the beautiful Newfoundland landscape all year round with those who mean the most to him. So that is absolutely wonderful that the wish has been granted to Logan. So before we get to the actual presentation, I just want to make some acknowledgements and some thank yous to those who played an integral part in bringing this whole event together. And well, first of all, we had 2 rib trucks, and they were provided by Texas Rangers Barbecue and Krabby's Barbecue Shop. And from what I heard in speaking with many people, residents, visitors, tourists, they absolutely loved the ribs. And many people came down, and because it was entertainment there the whole weekend, and people came down, sat around, ate, listened to some entertainment, while some came, picked it up as a takeout order, and went on home. And our volunteers, we certainly want to recognize our volunteers, because to bring an event of this magnitude together and do it successfully, it requires a lot of volunteers. And we had many there, and they were long-serving volunteers with the town. Many of them are involved with the Crystal Carnival and the Squid Fest. So we certainly want to extend a big thank you to them. And our entertainers, who were so thoughtful and donated their time to come over for the whole weekend of providing really, really good entertainment, which I know everyone enjoyed. And all the residents, visitors, and tourists that I just said who came out and supported this very worthwhile initiative. I gotta say a huge thank you, because if you don't have people come out to support it, your event is not going to be a success. And it certainly was a huge success. And last but not least, our supporters and sponsors who reached out, and they really, they gave generously. I tell you, they dug deep, and they gave very nice donations toward this whole event. So we certainly extend our heartfelt thanks to them. So overall, tremendous event, and a big thank you to everybody. And I was almost remiss, our public works staff and our administrative staff, who did a lot of work behind the scenes, setting things up, doing all the logistics, putting things together behind the scenes, and we certainly reach out and extend a big thank you to them as well. So, on that note, I'm going to come down here now, and just before we do the check presentation, I will ask Mr. Fowler if he'd like to say a few words, and
Now, Mayor Gooby took half of my, so this will be brief. Again, to reiterate, Mayor Gooby took half of my speech. But he does it all the time. I've known him for years. Mayor Gooby, councilors, Marjorie, Steve, and Gary Corbett can't be here, all the volunteers, everybody with the community. That was magic what happened. It came together in a very short period of time. Marjorie, thank you for your influence and your fundraising ability. So we have Amy and Logan with us here today. They're from Holyrood, and I guess they're representative of Wish families all across Newfoundland and Labrador, and we go deep into the communities, and that's one really wonderful thing about the work that we do at Make-A-Wish Canada. And yes, Logan is in his wish, and the accessories are there. Your family can get outside. You can enjoy the Newfoundland landscape together. But I think it's more than a wish. Would you say that it's a game changer? Yes. And wishes for children and their families, it has an impact that reverberates into the community as well. And this is certainly a great community effort. So on behalf of our chapter office and Wish kids, Wish families across Newfoundland and Labrador, our stakeholders and our supporters, our sponsors, and we have over 600 volunteers in Newfoundland and Labrador into every community on the island and into Labrador. And on behalf of everybody, thank you is not enough. Thank you for making wishes come true for children and their families. And thanks for your commitment and your engagement with the mission and your love. And thanks again.
thank you very much, Mary.
I can't wait till you use the ski attachment.
Nobody knows how much money has been raised,
No.
but it is a significant amount, and I'm sure it will grant more than one wish.
Absolutely. Just a little background, the biggest fundraising effort with or best across Atlantic Canada, to my knowledge, has been $25,000.
Ooh. Okay. I can try.
You're on camera now, Amy.
I know. Don't tell her that. She doesn't need to know that. There's only thousands of Holyrood residents watching.
TVs are
Clear 'em up nice.
I told her she wasn't going to speak. and I
See, how
think she
come you
was
had to
all
tell me
right.
on my camera? um, actually, it's a bit emotional, as you can imagine, to be able to go further than my driveway and actually take him for a walk. We did end up with the camper, which was going to be his first wish, but that had to happen fast, so we ended up getting a camper. And now we can finally actually enjoy the camper with this. And as much as I love to heat, please, I don't need another hot summer like this summer. We didn't actually get out a whole lot. But on behalf of my family, on behalf of Logan and everybody else in Shoreberry, to all the kids, to all the families, a huge, huge thank you. It makes a world of difference to what we can and cannot do. Thanks.
Thank you, Amy.
Here you go, Gary.
In the middle would be fantastic. Don't look, don't look. There we go.
Okay, Mr. Fowler?
Yes, sir.
On the count of three, we are going to do our presentation. 1, 2, 3. $50,000.
What?
$50,000.
Oh my God, this is absolutely incredible. Holy God, wow.
Yeah, wow.
That's 5 wishes, 5 families, 5 communities,
5 lives changed.
5 lives changed. This is incredible. This is, you know what? Honest to God, I can't wait to share. We have what's called a town hall tomorrow. And I was sharing with you that it's back to school for all our kids tomorrow. Everybody's going back to offices across Canada. And they want good news stories tomorrow. And our thing is, in Newfoundland, we never really shut down. We kept going to the office because our cases were so low during COVID. And our battle cry was, you really can't fundraise until you get into the communities. And this is a bit of evidence, right? And this is so wonderful. Wow. Oh my God, I'm gonna turn this off now because I might get overwhelmed and say something.
Or maybe Steve, you can come up this way and they can go behind one. That'd be easier, wouldn't it? Oh, we can all get up, sure, absolutely, yeah. I don't know. And we can see it, yes, that's all, it was all into. Oh, and can you take one for me?
Yeah, I'll send you.
Okay.
You want me to send you that one?
Yeah, you can send me that too, I just want. Don't worry about it. Okay. Just get one more?
Yep, sure.
Okay, I want to do it.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. She's in a lottery.
Are you kidding me?
I know, it's amazing.
You're kidding.
Oh my God, next year.
Now we got something to top.
I know.
Yes.
You can have that. You bought it. You bought this check.
Okay, we're going to continue on with the agenda. It's a beautiful evening, so if you would like to stay here and listen to a council meeting, or you can feel free to, pardon?
Our hair flush is perfect, what do you know?
Listen, seriously, thank you so much. You guys have been
Thank you.
amazing. How you guys mobilize, it's absolutely incredible. And your sanitation department were amazing, by the way. The place was well kept and it was a model of event. And thank you. So again next year.
And thank you very much, Barry, for the great work that you're doing and the contribution you're making and the lives that you and your group are doing.
It's moving. And we gotta be, every now and then you've gotta see Logan, just focus on what we're doing, you know?
Exactly.
Hopefully this winter with skis on. Oh,
There
yeah,
you go.
we'll see on the trails. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you all. Good night. See you, Logan.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Logan. Oh, what did I do there?
Okay, so we'll continue on with the agenda, and the first order is the adoption of the minutes from the meeting of August 23rd. Are there any errors or omissions? Okay, if there's no errors or omissions, the table will adopt them as presented. Business arising from the minutes. Okay, if there's no business arising, we will move on to the mayor's update. And the first one is in respecting the recent passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, I will ask that we stand for a moment of silence in recognition of her long-serving reign in our Commonwealth. Thank you all very much. Okay, the next item I have here is with regard to the cell phone service in our area, and for the benefit of our residents, I want to share the latest progress update Council received from Mr. Paul Green, Senior Advisor of Network from Bell Mobility. Mr. Green said Bell's performance analysis team, which is to perform, will be performing a deep dive on the wireless network performance in the Holyrood area. He would like us to provide a number of customer numbers and addresses so that his engineers can review the statistics and the signal performance records from these areas. Those looking to see the drop calls, access, and throughput levels for those areas. They want as many as we can provide. So basically, we have to develop a format and process in providing them this necessary information. We will work out the details on how we're going to compile this data in the coming days and advise our residents accordingly. We were also pleased that the town of Conception Bay South has joined our campaign for better service throughout the whole area. But unfortunately, we never heard a word from the other municipalities in Conception Bay Centre, so I don't know where they stand on this particular issue. The third one is with regard to Hurricane Fiona, now heading up the eastern seaboard and expected to have some level of impact on our province within the coming days. I am issuing a friendly reminder to start preparing now. While it is predicted to be more of a wind event on the Avalon and not much rain as we experienced last week, we all know these storms can change trajectory within a matter of hours, making the storm better or worse. It's better to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. As our saying goes, batten down the hatches, secure any items outside that can become projectiles, and have an emergency kit on hand in the event of a power outage. There's a lot of helpful tips on the Newfoundland Fire and Emergency Services website. And last, today our town said goodbye to a wonderful lady in our community, Patricia Hamlin, the wife of former long-serving councillor Harry Hamlin. Pat, as she was referred, was a very devoted and dedicated volunteer within our town for decades. She was deeply committed to our parish and gave freely of her time with many groups, organizations, and the school. She helped many individuals in need and did it in her own quiet way. Pat, along with Harry, were successful entrepreneurs in the restaurant and hospitality industry, most notably the very popular Beach Cottage restaurant, and in later years started the Station Diner. Above all, Pat's biggest priority in life was to her family, whom she loved dearly. Without a doubt, she was the family matriarch. On behalf of council, staff, and residents, we extend our heartfelt condolences to the Hamlin, Davis, and Keogh's families during this difficult time. She will be deeply missed. Okay, so that is the mayor's update. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, if not, we will move to correspondence, and there's no correspondence tonight. So next up, we have planning and development update. Deputy Mayor Woodford.
Good evening, everybody. The Planning and Development Committee met on September 14th at 5 p.m. In attendance was our CAO, Gary Corbett, Marjorie Gibbons, and myself. We reviewed 8 applications, 3 business applications and 5 residential applications, and we have 4 that are going to motion tonight. Just an update on the town plan review as well. That had been on the back burner for a little while with conflicting schedules and holidays and things like that over the summer, but we're hoping to begin again October the 1st and 2nd with like a weekend to do a few hours to get back on track with that. So I'm going to get right into the motions then this evening. First, we have our permit listing. And we have, be it resolved, to table and approve the attached permit listing. 25 permits were issued from August 17th to September 15th. Permit number 08-01113-22 to 09-0136-22 and include permits for new residence, site prep, accessory building, extension to residential, general repairs, garage, signs, tower and antenna, and fence. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Crawley. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
Next, we have 313 Conception Bay Highway. It's residential. It's to reconstruct a house destroyed by fire. The zoning is residential medium density. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the Town of Holyrood development regulations. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
Next, it's 177 to 179 Salmon Air Line. The proposal is residential. The zoning is residential medium density. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the Town of Holyrood development regulations. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Crawley. Further discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
57A Ridge Road. The proposal is residential agriculture. The zoning is RMD, residential medium density. Be it resolved to refuse the above application in principle, subject to the Town of Holyrood development regulations. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, could you, why are we turning it down?
Because the application that came in first, it was a backlot development, and it got approved for backlot development for residential housing. Then it was applied for the residential agriculture, but that's not under the residential medium density. It's not included in that zoning. Okay.
All right, any other questions, comments? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
And last, it is 461 Conception Bay Highway. The proposal is home-based plumbing business. The zoning is residential medium density. Be it resolved to approve the above application, subject to the Town of Holyrood development regulations. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Crowley. All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried.
And that's it for that department. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. And now we'll move on to recreation and community events. Councillor King, you're up.
Just give a short update from recreation this evening.
Do you want up just to your mic, Sadie, please? There you go.
At our last meeting, we spent a lot of time discussing programs for the fall. Our recreation flyer is to go in the mail toward the end of this week. It's been a delay in getting it out due to complications with program users and facilities, but it definitely will be posted this week. Aside from the events and programs, we have been busy reviewing the 2022 budget in preparation for budget talks in the coming weeks. So once the fall guide go out, our next meetings will concentrate on budget. And we have one motion, and that's to send our recreation director to a conference, a recreation conference in Gander. And I think it's a worthwhile conference because a lot of networking is done at these conventions. So the resolution says, be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood approves the Director of Recreation attend the Recreation Newfoundland and Labrador AGM and Conference in Gander from October the 13th to October the 15th, 2022. The Director is an active member of the board, and therefore the cost to the town is $250, which is identified in Budget 2022 under Category 6485 to 6,000. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Sadie King. Could I have a seconder, please? Seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Further discussion? Councillor King. Good? Yeah. I certainly don't have any problem with that because we know from past that these are very beneficial from all aspects of recreation. Like the Councillor King said, there's a lot of networking, a lot of connections made, so certainly worth $250.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
and already budgeted.
And already budgeted.
Yes.
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, all those in favour, those against, motion is carried.
But would we just like to make a comment now after the motion, or I just jumped the gun?
Okay,
I just jumped the gun.
floor is yours.
Well, I just want to make a comment, because it falls under recreation, just with regards to Murray's Peak. Some of you may know, every morning my wife goes to the top of Murray's Peak. And a couple of days ago, she met these people on the trail. So they had this conversation, and they thought the trail was fantastic. They thought Holyrood was an absolutely gorgeous place because when they got up on top of the hill, they could see everything in all directions. So while she was talking to these people, the lady that was there, she said, I have a question for you. She said, yeah. She said, what are all those octagon boxes at the end of your driveways? And Dorothy goes, they're garbage boxes. But you want to take a guess where those people were from? They came from Finland. They came from Finland. They were tourists up on Murray's Peak from Finland. So now when they go back to Finland, they know what the octagon boxes are. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That's quite interesting there, Councillor King.
Now that you've made a comment, I had people from Jamaica this past week, and they were amazed at our garbage boxes as well. They didn't know what they were for.
We should start selling them.
Interesting stuff. Okay, is that it?
That's it for recreation.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to infrastructure and public works. And Councillor King, you're up again.
I am. Okay, our committee met on September the 8th at 12 noon, and in attendance were Councillor Windsor, Mayor Gubby, CAO Gary Corbett, Director Robert Stacey, and myself. There was much discussion around several of the planned projects as well as policy development and budgeting. There are two policies which are being developed at the moment. The gravel road policy. This policy addresses the standards expected of gravel roads. It's a work in progress. A first draft was prepared and reviewed, and revisions were made. A second draft will be reviewed at the next committee meeting. The second policy is the standing offer policy. Again, committee has reviewed a draft and have suggested revisions, and we will review that policy at the next committee meeting as well. When the committee are satisfied with the draft copy of these policies, we will present them to council for their consideration. And I'm sure we're all looking forward to getting to gravel roads policy. I think that's one of the important things in this town. The committee also reviewed the budget for the infrastructure department, and we will be continuing to work on the proposed budget categories at our next meeting scheduled for September the 29th. We also addressed planned improvements during the meeting. First, there is the improvement of Tubberts Road. And after reviewing the bids, which were opened at our last public meeting, and I should go back and say one bid because we only had one bid, we are confident this evening in presenting two motions to council related to that piece of work. The first one says, be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood accept the bid submitted by Buckles Contracting in the amount of $54,625, HST included, in response to the recent RFP to complete Tubberts Road infrastructure upgrades. An RFP was issued to 4 local companies. There was only one reply, which was opened at our public meeting of August the 23rd, 2022, and reviewed by the Infrastructure Public Works Committee, and we recommend the awarding of this contract. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Crowley. Further discussion? And this is a road that we've identified from the Director of Public Works and Infrastructure, along with the staff, because this has been a problematic area for quite some time. And, you know, rather than going back time and time again, you know, we felt it was best and prudent to invest the money in this infrastructure and, you know, remediate and mitigate these problems from happening again. And it's not just Tubberts Road. We're also, our Public Works Committee is also looking at other areas of the community that has been problematic in the past, whether there's water leaks or drainage issues or whatnot, because we have clearly recognized that climate change is here and it's real, and it's going to take a lot of investment in the years to come, but it's a step-by-step process, and obviously there's only so much money to go around all at once, but that's where the Public Works Committee is zooming in on right now, dealing with the certain areas of the community that have problems year over year over year, and we want to mitigate them and correct them on a permanent basis, and that's the direction, and that's where the committee is focused on. So, and it's great work being done by the committee, extremely busy committee. Yeah. Okay, any other questions or comments on that motion before we vote? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
In order to award that tender, we gotta have the money to pay for it, so the next motion deals with the money issue. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood submit an application to the Gas Tax Authority in the amount of $54,625 to complete Tubberts Road infrastructure upgrades. Using the gas tax funding will ensure this work gets done in the most cost-effective manner within the town. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Bruce King. And of course, just to clarify, when we get funding under the gas tax, that's solely paid for by the federal government, and it's not out of our operating budget. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, all those in favor of that motion, please raise your hands. Those against, motion is carried.
And the next one, there's another motion coming up to do with the lift station. Committee also discussed the importance of the main beach lift station in the sewer services to residents. It is extremely important from both a health and environmental perspective that we keep that lift station working on a continuous basis. Because we cannot control what might happen to the pump system at any given time, it is extremely necessary to have a backup pump readily available should we experience issues. Therefore, while we will still be installing a new pump, it is equally important we upgrade the pump we are taking out to be a backup just in case of a pump failure down the road. Rebuilding the pump is a cost-effective preventive measure. The committee feels that could save time and money into the future if we experience a breakdown. Therefore, we are presenting the following motion. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood submit an application to the Gas Tax Authority in the amount of $9,757.87 to complete upgrades to the existing pump at the main beach lift station. Upgrading this pump will allow the town to have some security in case of a breakdown to the new pump which is being installed. The old pump requires repair and upgrade and can be ready should the town find itself in an emergency situation at the lift station. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor King, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Further discussion?
Not really, I think this is a fantastic idea. Do we know when the new one's being installed?
I'm not exactly sure yet.
I can't, no.
No.
Okay.
But I think this is a very proactive approach on the town's part because, again, that area with the lift station has caused some problems from time to time over the last several years. In fact, when we get massive amounts of rain in such a short time as we had last week, there's two chambers there. There's a dry chamber and a wet chamber. And what happened was that the water from the wet chamber ended up going into the dry chamber and it caused a lot of mechanical problems. So if we don't have a backup, then that could cause problems for homes because, if it's flooded with water, obviously it's a strain on the whole system. But the biggest part of this is that if you had to wait for another part to come in, you could be waiting weeks where, you're trying to do your best to make the system work and diverting water out to the harbour. But with the spare part, the Director of Public Works said they could have it installed within hours. So there shouldn't be a disruption too long. So for that amount, I think it's a very good investment and it's a proactive approach to
I
dealing
think
with
it's
that
necessary.
lift station.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no further questions or comments, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried. Okay, thank you very much, Councillor King. Next, we'll move on to Business Development and Marketing. Deputy Mayor, you're up.
The Business Development and Marketing Committee, we met on September 12th. There's a couple of things that we want to bring forward. Most of it was funding that we discussed. There's several funding applications that are in the process. One is a rural transit funding and one is an inclusion grant. They both have been submitted to government and we're waiting to hear back from those. We have been approved for an active transportation grant or funding, which is to build a walkway around the multipurpose court. So that funding will go towards a design and then the actual work to be completed on it. And that RFP should be going out, I would say tomorrow. Marjorie is nodding her head, yeah. Should be going out tomorrow, so we can look for that. The New Horizons funding and natural infrastructure are two other funding sources that we will be applying for as well, but those deadlines are not till later on in the fall. We did receive funding as well from Rediscover Downtown. It's kind of a funny name, but I guess it allows for community events and festivals and things like that is where the money has to go into. But and we're hoping that the fall festival, of course, will take up some of that. But we're hoping to be able to purchase some of the items required on a regular basis when we have festivals and events like sound systems and things like that, depending on, you know, where we come in with the fall festival. At least then those are assets that we have with the town, so that we don't have to always be continually going out and, you know, renting. And the costs of these rentals sometimes are significant, right? And we do have North Arm Park funding. The RFP closed September the 15th. We do have a bid in, which I'm going to open that up before I'm finished with the update. For our business sector, you know, we went out probably at about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, or maybe even a little bit longer. It was a few months ago with a brochure to our business community. Went out in the mail. We did receive some applications, which was great. However, we do recognize that there are businesses in Holyrood that are operating that are not registered with the town. So at the committee level, we decided that our next steps would be like a more one-on-one approach. So we wouldn't necessarily be, you know, just doing a general mail out. We are going to identify businesses within the community and send them a letter requesting registration. And, you know, our director, Marjorie Gibbons, in that letter is going to state, I'm sure, I haven't seen the letter yet, but, you know, that she is available if they need any assistance in filling out an application or getting an application processed within the town, that she is there. And to identify that there are a lot of positives in being registered with the town as a registered business. So that letter will be going out, I would say, in the next week or two for sure. She's working on that. The other thing that we're planning on having as well is a business workshop. Now, we've been talking about this for a while, and it kind of got a little bit on the back burner, but it's in the process. So hopefully sometime in October, we will engage the business community in some type of workshop, and Marjorie has been working on that too, to come up with the details. And lastly, the budget. We have discussed the budget for 2023, and we're still working on trying to determine what that's going to look like, because we do need to put something in the budget this year. We didn't put anything in the budget last year, a big ask, but you never know, it might be coming this year. But we're looking at that, and we'll have it ready to go when it's needed. Our next meeting then is scheduled for October the 3rd. Other than that, I think that's it, Mr. Mayor, and I'm going to open up this RFP. So
All right.
I just want, can you confirm that is a sealed document?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. It was date stamped received September 15th, 2022 at 11:55 a.m. by Marjorie Gibbons. So I'm going to open this up.
We need a letter opener.
Oh, well, yeah, we do need a letter opener. An official letter opener on your desk, right?
It's not going in this year's budget.
Okay, there is one. The bid is from Buckles Contracting, from John Buckle. Do I say the amount or? Yes. Okay, the amount is $75,000 plus HST for the work from the RFP. And that's it.
Okay, so you can sign it,
I
date
will.
it, and Councillor King can witness it.
I don't even know date. 20th. I need to sign the envelope too, right?
And that will now be referred to committee for further review.
And that as well. Perfect, thank you. We'll pass that over to. Thank you. And And that is it from Business Development and Marketing.
Okay, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. So now we will move on to Public Safety, and Councillor Bruce King, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow councillors, staff, people listening at home, and also here tonight in the chamber. We have not had a public safety meeting since our last public meeting, but I do have some points that I would like to address as well. Schools are now open. Kids are out on the street. They're out on Route 60. They're out on the side roads. People need to slow down, and if you see somebody that is speeding, you should get their license plate number and you should report it to the RCMP. The RCMP are doing a fantastic job. I watched them this morning. A person flying up the road. It wasn't very long before an RCMP guy was behind him, and he started off the day on the wrong foot. So people need to be aware. It's much better for a child to make it to school on time than you to be late for 10 or 15 minutes getting to work. Okay, so people need to take that into consideration. The other point is with regards to, over the past few weeks, there was a lot of work done on Route 60 with the ditches. Transportation Works did a fantastic job cleaning out the ditches. The only problem is the water has no place to go because a lot of the culverts are clogged either on the entrance or the exit. So if you look at, especially in particular down on O'Rourke's Road, or not on O'Rourke's, just by O'Rourke's Road on the right-hand side as you're heading towards CBS. That ditch there, when we had all the rain, there's probably about 4 or 5 feet of water in that ditch. So it's definitely, and it's still, a lot of it is still there. So it's having a negative effect on the structural integrity of the road. So, you know, and I know our Public Works Director has already contacted Transportation Works, so that hopefully they will get there and clean it out before the next big rain event occurs.
Councillor King, if I could interject for just 1 second,
Absolutely.
I apologise for that. One of the biggest challenges that we do have when it comes to ditching is the fact that is diverting the water. In that area that you just referred, it's all level land. And in order to divert the water, you would have to put in a culvert in across the road. But under the Municipalities Act, the town cannot divert water over onto private property. So in many situations where you do have water built up in the ditches, you know, there's no place to divert the water.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
it sits there for days and days until it soaks into the ground. So it's
Yeah,
It's
it is,
challenging.
and you know, I mean, it's not having a positive effect on the road, which the roads are not in the best of shape anyway. But I mean, it's only making the integrity of the road worse, right? A lot of the places down there, especially if you're coming towards maybe about 50 or so feet before you get to O'Rourke's Road, on the right-hand side, the shoulder of the road has completely washed out into the ditch. Again, our Director of Public Works has contacted Transportation Works. And even, I know they got other things to do, but even if somebody came and put a orange pylon down there, because if you were coming up the road, and it happens quite often here in Holyrood, because there's a lot of ambulances to travel on the road, the law states that you pull over to the side of the road. If by chance you happen to pull over where that place is washed out, you're not going to get back on the road because you're going to beat up the bottom out of your car, right? So it's dangerous. It's dangerous for people walking, especially at night, because you can't see it, and it's dangerous for people pulling off the road. So hopefully, rather sooner rather than later, they'll get out and get it fixed. The next one is with regards to the hurricane. I know the mayor has already touched on it, and people should be aware, right? I mean, the last big event was a rain event, and we had a lot more rain than what they had forecast for. This one is they're forecasting possibly a wind event, but I mean, this thing can change direction at any time, and it can be a rain event as well. There's still a lot of leaves on the trees, so that's going to affect, you know, power lines and stuff. If you have a generator, if you have a sump pump, you know, make sure you got fuel, make sure you got at least 72 hours worth of food, water, medication and stuff like that. Because if you've got a sump pump and your basement is starting to flood, if you had a generator, then you need fuel. So if the power is gone, at least you won't have to sit there watching your basement flood, because you have a perfectly good sump pump, you have a perfectly good generator. The only thing is you've got nothing for it to drink, right? So you really need to make sure you plan ahead. You know, the weather is getting worse, and we can all relate to that. Storms are getting more intense, and they're coming in more frequency. So be prepared. The fire department is going to have more information on their website as well. But you can go in online on fire and emergency services. You can go in online anywhere and Google what some of the things that you should have in your home in the event of a storm, a rain event, a wind event, or whatever. Okay, and people should take this a lot more serious than in some cases than they actually are. Okay. The other point is with regards to the fire department, and these are a few points that the fire chief asked me to pass along. And he's pleased to announce that they've recruited a new volunteer down at the fire department. And the team member is Andrea Dooley, who comes to him from previous firefighting training and experience, along with, she's an active paramedic first aid instructor with over 20 years of experience. Wow. So it'll be an absolutely valuable asset to our fire department. He also wants me to pass along that they have promoted 6 of their members to full training firefighters, as they recently completed the National Fire Protection Association 1001 training. Okay, and their names are Nick Jarvis Butler, Tanner Whitley, Brittany Power, Tom Johnson, Kyle Hocko, Teresa Fairbridge. These firefighters are now trained to complete interior firefighting activities, along with having proper training and skills for many other incident calls. So as you can see, our volunteer fire department, even though there are volunteers, they're very highly trained, right? And continuing to train, and they're also continuing to recruit trained people who in turn can help train the people that are there. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. And as I said, the fire department will have items up on their site with regards to the upcoming hurricane. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, just to elaborate a little bit further on the NFPA certification, that comes from the Oklahoma State University, and you actually receive your seal with your number. I received mine back in 1994 when I started with St. John's. But it takes a lot of time to get to that point. There's a lot of components involved. It's not like you can go in for 2 or 3 days, do a course, and all of a sudden you're signed off to get your certification. This actually has to be signed off by the fire commissioner's office, and you know, there's a lot of time, effort, and commitment to reach that level. But once you do reach that level, it means now that those firefighters, if they're in offensive mode, they can actually enter a building instead of having to do exterior firefighting. So that is a huge plus, and certainly congratulations to these latest firefighters in securing their NFPA 1001 level, and I'm sure that they're going to be working on their level 2, which is it's an advancement of that. So, but no doubt they're very committed, and you know, they're doing wonderful work on behalf of the community, and we collectively as a council can't say enough to express our thanks and appreciation for all they do, because they go above and beyond just responding on that call. It's the support that they have toward the community and everything else. So kudos and congratulations to them. Okay, thank you very much, Councillor King. Great points and great tips. Now we'll move on to communications, and I understand Councillor Crawley.
Yes, we just want to say it's
Okay.
basic status quo for communications. No new update, but there will be things that come up with the CSA that will notice reflect back to communications as well.
Okay.
So that will be ongoing.
Okay. I hesitated there because I didn't earlier you indicated there was nothing to report, so, and I sort of let the gesture, we'll bring it up anyway, but everything now with communications piece is all ongoing. And it's going to take time, as I indicated before. You know, this is something that can't be rushed, because once the documents and the policies and everything are put in place, they're there for years to come. Okay, so the operational review, there's a motion there, and I apologize in not recognizing the absence of Councillor Steve Windsor or Councillor Buckle, but due to prior commitments, they were unable to be here tonight, and our CAO is out of town. So, Councillor King, you can put forth the resolution on moving the operational review and strategic plan forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With regards to the operational review, be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood proceed with the release of the RFP document to secure a consultant to complete a municipal operational review and strategic plan. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Crowley. Further discussion? And we've mentioned this many times since the election, and of course it's a timely process to make sure that you have everything covered off in the scope of work that we wanted to get done. So the committee was hard at that. We've had several meetings in trying to nail down you know, the crux of the RFP and what's required on our end, and you know, doing it all properly. So that's done now, and the next step now is to move forward with the RFP process. Once that's completed, I do believe is October 16th is the deadline. I stand to be corrected, but somewhere on around that date. And once that's done, the RFPs will come back, sealed documents will come back to council. We will open them at a public meeting, and then they will be passed back to the committee for further review to ensure that they meet all the criteria as per the spec, and of course considering the cost. And then there is an evaluation process that will take place as part of that, and then eventually that will lead to the awarding of this piece of work being done. So that is the process to be followed. And you know, we're not rushing this document, because again, we want to ensure that it gets done properly and very thoroughly. And of course, the strategic plan component is something that will encompass all of council's input. And we've gone through, well, this will be our third one, but it's an opportunity to basically, councillors can sit around the table with the consultant and brainstorm and, you know, identify all the strategies that we want to bring forward in the town for the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years. So that's where we're to with that. Okay, it has been moved and seconded. All those in, was that voted on? No. Okay, I didn't think so. Okay, all those in favor? Those against? Motion is carried. And we have a notice of motion here presented from Councillor King. Are you still going to leave that on the books as a notice of motion for now? Yes. Okay. All right. And next we will move on to corporate service and administration. And Councillor Crowley, you're going to pay the bills.
Yes and no. I'm going to give the update, and then I'm going to leave it to my counterpart,
Okay,
Councillor King, to pay the bills. So he just said the checks are going to bounce because he's doing it. Okay, so we met September 15th through a Zoom. In attendance was myself, Councillor King, Director of Finance Marie Searle, and CAO Gary Corbett. We discussed the policy and procedure, and all council members have now had time to review the policy and procedure document. So we're going to make sure now that all input is put back into that document, and it'll be sent to legal. So we're hoping that if we get back from legal, we can put the new document forward in a motion by November. And we actually have a solid policy and procedure operating document for our town. There's no news on the procurement document, so we're going to send that on to legal as well and have that reviewed, and hopefully again, November, it'll be ready to be put in motion. The budget 2023 is going to take up most of our meetings from here on in, especially for CSA. So we discussed the public consultation format, There was a survey that we were getting ready, and this is where it comes back to communication committee. So we're basically where there was so much other policies being developed and created, and so much other work being done with the operational review and things like that. We feel like we probably didn't give the survey enough due credit. So with CSA, Corporate Service Administration, we decided if we could postpone that till next year. So instead of sending out a public survey this year, we need to look at what data is going to come in, what are we going to do with the data, how we format it and everything. So we need to have a broader scope of that. So we decided we would go back to our original public consultation format for this year. So we're putting notice in the shoreline. We'll be going out this week. I think it hits the shoreline for next week. People can write in letters. And we also have our social media. So it'll be on Facebook, Twitter, that kind of thing, that public can consult. So they can pass in their information. And we encourage any member of public who would like to be part of the public consultation. You can set up, there will be a public in chambers option. There's a letter writing. And of course, you can always reach out to counselors. Probably our information is on the website. You can reach out to us. I've already had, for example, one resident ask me about speed bumps, if that can be included in the budget. So that would be moved on to public safety. So you can reach out and we'll make sure it goes to the right department and the consideration would be due. We also discussed our format for council, how we're going to do it. We're going to go back to each committee doing an operational review themselves, and then a presentation to the group so that everyone on council is familiar with each committee and their budgetary needs. Then we'll look at the capital listings and see what we can arrive there. And finally, we'll look at our revenue. So that's the process we will follow. And we ask that every counselor from September 27th to December 16th keep Tuesday evenings open for budget. So I get to be the bearer of great news today. Your Tuesdays from here until now is done. Union negotiations will be discussed, the process if RFPs, inviting tenders, etc. for contract negotiations. Our cleaning services got out to RFP. We're waiting for that to come in. So once they come in, we will open them and look. We've had a number of businesses interested, so that's fantastic. Our Municipalities Newfoundland Conference. So we're going to put the motion forward, but it has already been budgeted. And Councillor Bruce King will be attending in Gander, so we'll make that motion in a minute. And last but not least, we will get Mr. King to pay the bills, as we say. And I have to step out due to possible conflict of interest.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Crowley. And it's all yours, Councillor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first one on the agenda. Be it resolved that the accounts tabled in the amount of $275,845.99, check number D2754 to D2844 and 043642 to 043750 be approved for payment. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
The next motion, be it resolved that the accounts in the amount of $383,130.64, check number 289 to 303 for the period of January 1st, 2020 to September 13th, 2020, be approved for payment for the capital projects account. So moved.
Okay, just a correction there, 2022.
Oh, 2022,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
behind a few years.
Okay, moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
Be it resolved that the accounts in the amount of $134,060.69, check number 570 to 640 for the period of January 1st, 2022 to September 13th, 2022, be approved for payment for the Squid Fest account. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor King, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
Next one. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood approve the borrowing of $80,883.12 to complete projects as identified in our 2022 budget. This borrowing will include $63,068.12 for the construction of the multi-court surface at the Salmonair Line Recreational Park, and the other $17,815 is to purchase communications equipment for the Holyrood Fire Department. So moved.
Moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
And the last one. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood requests ministerial approval to borrow $80,883.12 from the Royal Bank of Canada for a 3-year term, 3-year amortization with 6.51% interest rate and a monthly payment of $2,479.01 to complete the multi-court surface and purchase communications equipment for the fire department. So moved.
Moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried. I forgot to ask you to come back in, Councillor Crowley.
I came back in because I figured it was all done, but there's only one motion I needed to go for. Unless you're having a lot of discussion.
Okay.
Bank book balance.
Yeah, the
Oh,
bank
is that
book
me?
balance
Do you want
and
me?
the other resolution.
The bank book balance as it stands today is $1,820.
Is that a negative?
Negative.
I was just about to say, Councillor King, that minus means a lot. We're still missing some taxes, boys and girls. So, be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood approved Councillor Bruce King to attend the MNL conference in Gander, scheduled for November 2nd to the 5th, 2022. The costs associated with this municipalities conference were identified in the 2022 budget, and the conference provides numerous networking and informational sessions for those attending. Yeah, so moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Crowley, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Further discussion?
No, it is a fantastic conference, and I even would have loved to attend myself. There's a whole women leadership section there, but work commitments. Yeah.
Okay. And we usually encourage the news councillors to
Yeah.
to partake and
But it's a weekday.
go to these
That's it.
conferences. Yeah. Okay, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried. And just to clarify for the public, because I know like from many meetings, we get into the bank book balance of, a negative, but, we got to keep in mind that it's an ongoing operation where, the money's coming in and then the money's going out, so. And there's always a reserve there, so if we have to get it, if we have to dip into that, that's what we do. So, but overall, our financial position is very good. Okay, new business. I'll do the go-around, starting with the Deputy Mayor.
No new business for me. I just wanted to say, congratulations to all of the people that were involved in Rickfest. To see that tonight, the effects of it was fantastic. I mean, all of the staff here, all the different departments were all working collaboratively in order to make that happen on such a short period of time. So kudos to all of you guys. It was fantastic. Other than that, that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Councillor King.
No, I have no new business other to repeat exactly what the deputy mayor just said. Fantastic.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Crowley.
Yeah, and same thing, it does my heart good to see that presentation tonight and see how much it affected the family. So that was wonderful. I loved it. And also be very careful if we do get what is coming the weekend. What they say is coming this weekend.
Oh, the weekend,
Stay
yeah.
safe. Yeah.
Okay. And Councillor Sadie King, you can wrap it up.
Well, I'll just re-echo your sentiments with regard to Ridfest. It was a fantastic weekend.
That is fantastic. Fantastic. And we'll strive to meet or exceed that again next year, because we'll have more time to plan and more time for Marjorie and her group to,
And her group, I love that.
well, Marjorie.
She has a group.
Okay. No, overall, it was great. Fantastic. All right, the date of the next meeting is October the 18th and at 5:30. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please? Moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. All those in favor, those against, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening.